And you see the 3-year age advantage for the Japanese fighter. He's also got a 1-inch height advantage and gives up a 1/2 inch in arm length to Arroyo, the counterpuncher, is measured from the armpit to the end of the fist. They both weighed in a touch under the 115-pound weight limit, as you can see tonight. Ioka has rehydrated all the way up to 125.6, pretty much the maximum rehydration allowed under California's new weight restriction second-day weigh-in rule, while Arroyo weighed in this morning at 122.8.
And here we go, ladies and gentlemen, making his way to the ring in this 12-round championship bout from Puerto Rico, McWilliams Arroyo.
A good look at former Puerto Rican Olympian McWilliams Arroyo, one of a pair of twin brothers who have both been prominent professional fighters in Puerto Rico. He began boxing at age 12 in Fajardo, where he still lives. Inspired to box after meeting one-time Oscar De La Hoya opponent John Molina 21 years ago. Twin brother of former 115-pound title holder McJoe Arroyo. He wears Junior on his trunks to honor his son, McWilliams Jr. He lost a fight to Hurricane Maria last year, thus has a long inactive stretch coming in against Ioka, who, as we mentioned, last fought in April of last year before a sudden surprise retirement ultimately led to a return to the sport. More on that a little bit later.
And next to make his ring walk, fighting out of the red corner, from Osaka, Japan, Kazuto Ioka.
First fight outside of Japan for Ioka, and in a moment I'll be joined at ringside by both Max Kellerman and Andre Ward, who are both very interested in looking at this dedicated craftsman who, Max Kellerman, was a legitimate star of the sport at 105, 108, and 112 pounds before his brief retirement.
Yeah, he's one of these elitely talented, pound-for-poundy type of fighters, and McWilliams Arroyo is, I love guys like that, Jim, like McWilliams Arroyo. Every era has him. Andre, I think he's a great example of that kind of fighter, just a top contender. You better be elite if you think you can beat him. And even if you are elite sometimes, he might upset the apple cart as he did against Cuadras.
Very tough assignment for Ioka, coming off of not just a 17-month layoff, but a retirement in a 17-month layoff. It'll be interesting to see if he can kick his mind back into gear and what his body, if his body will respond to what he wants it to do against a fighter like Arroyo.
Let's go to ring announcer Joe Martinez now for the official introductions.
Ladies and gentlemen, live on HBO's Boxing After Dark from the fabulous forum here in Inglewood, California. A very good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to an exciting night of professional boxing, all brought to you by Tom Loeffler's 360 Promotions, sponsored by Chivas, Tecate, the official beer of boxing, Cafe Agave, and Fred Loya Insurance. It's Superfly 3. And fight fans, here we go. 12 rounds this scheduled for the WBC Silver Super Flyweight Championship. Your three judges scoring this bout at ringside: Carla Caiz, Esther Lopez, and Pat Russell. And when the action begins inside the ring, your referee in charge, Thomas Taylor. Introducing to you first, fighting out of the blue corner, wearing black, trimmed in white and gold. He weighed in officially 114 1/2 pounds. In 20 professional bouts, his record, 17 victories, including 14 knockouts, just 3 defeats. Presenting the two-time world title challenger, the defending WBC Silver Super Flyweight Champion, El Boricua de Fajardo, Puerto Rico. Here is McWilliams Arroyo. And across the ring, his opponent fighting out of the red corner, wearing black with blue. He weighed in also 114 1/2 pounds. In 23 professional bouts, his record outstanding with 22 victories, just 1 defeat. 13 big wins coming by way of knockout. Here is the former 3-division champion of the world from Osaka, Japan, the Samurai, Kazuto Ioka!
Okay, Kazu, gambare. Boxer chief second, everyone else out. Professor. Go ahead, exchange flags. Okay, gentlemen, belt line's good here, belt line's good here. I gave you instructions in the back. Protect yourselves at all times, listen to my commands. Touch them up, back to your corner, gentlemen. Yes.
Ioka's really a top flight fighter. And for McWilliams Arroyo, now this is the 3rd time you've seen him on our air. And in those 3 fights, it's Chocolatito Gonzalez when he was considered the best fighter in the world, pound for pound by many. Carlos Cuadras, who was a star, and now Ioka. No easy assignments for Arroyo.
And Arroyo pulled the upset against Carlos Cuadras after having put in a good effort, but clearly a losing effort against Chocolatito. Chocolatito was at his peak at that time. And by the way, seldom do I comment on this subject. California has some really good referees. Jack Reese is particularly noteworthy. This young guy, Tom Taylor, has already made an impression in the first couple of years, Andre, that tells me he's going to be one of the very best referees in the world.
Yeah, I know Tom. He's a good referee, and he's on his way, just like you mentioned.
And Ioka comes back with thunder to the body, and that is a part of his game that I've been fascinated to check out because he has the reputation, Max Kellerman, of being able to land to the body without accepting counterpunches in return, and it's not that easy to do.
That's the thing. Not only does he throw this very high percentage of his shots and land a very high percentage to the body, especially among elite fighters, but there should be a stat. Now maybe I'm saying this, they'll work on it. How much you're getting in return when you go to the body. He's somehow able to go to the body, which obviously lowers your defenses because of the angle of your arm, and allows counter-punching opportunities, but he does it without being countered, though Arroyo just countered him there with an uppercut.
Yeah, that's the risk that you take when you go to the body. You're in the lion's den, so to speak. But body punching is similar to the jab. We talk about this often on air, how it's a lost art. A lot of times guys don't want to invest there because it's a process. It'll probably take 2, 3, 4 rounds before you get the dividends of the body shots, and Ioka has no problem making that investment.
One big subject going into next week's rematch between Triple G and Canelo. Will Gennady Golovkin stick with the body punching this time around instead of allowing it to go away as it seemed to do in the first fight?
Ioka, watching Superfly 2, said that it inspired him to come back. He thought he could beat everyone on the card. And tonight he has drawn the toughest assignment for all the, as they say in boxing, A-sides, the favorites. He drew the toughest assignment because McWilliams Arroyo is difficult for anybody.
He mentioned in the fighter meeting yesterday if he was going to come back, he wanted to come back in America, where he was quoted as saying that's where the real fighting is, and he wanted to do it with a bang, and he's doing it tonight here on HBO.
Excellent first round. Both fighters have landed some clean, solid shots in the first round. Both fighters have shown you a level of technical mastery already here in round number 1. So we've mentioned tonight, Kazuto Ioka is fighting as a super flyweight for the first time. He's a decorated champion from Japan with titles in 3 lower weight divisions. But after his last fight, at the age of 28, Ioka suddenly announced his retirement. And now, almost 17 months later, he's back in the ring, fighting for the first time in America. Let's find out why.
去年の4月です。最後の試合が終わって3階級制覇というボクシングを始めたスーパーフライ2をロサンゼルスで見た時に、その気持ちがここで戦いたいという気持ちがまた生まれてきて、新たに挑戦したいと思いました。またアメリカのボクシング会場雰囲気 ここで戦いたいと思いました。まずこの決断をした全てだと思うので、このアメリカに勝ちに来たので結果を出したいと思います。新たな挑戦のスタートだと思ってます。
And there's more to the story. It's been widely reported that in May, following that April fight last year, Ioka married a famous Japanese pop singer named Nana Tanimura, and the marriage apparently created some kind of rift or a difference of opinion with his father. And tonight he's fighting without his father in the corner for the very first time in his career. But we understand that his father on his own has made his way here to Los Angeles to be here for the fight and is observing Ioka in this experience of fighting without his father in the corner, fighting coming out of a retirement, fighting coming off of an apparent in-family controversy relative to his marriage to the pop singer.
One thing that's interesting about Ioka is for a guy who creates punching angles and has some athletic ability, he's kind of flat-footed. You know, generally a fighter like that will be bouncing on his toes a little bit more, but if you look at just the position of his feet, Ioka's flat-footed for a guy who creates angles.
Yeah, I think that's just the way he was taught. If you look at his previous fights, he can look robotic at times. But that's his rhythm, that's his style, somewhat mechanical. That's the way you see a lot of the fighters in Japan being taught to fight.
Does it also give him a chance to maximize the power on his body shots?
Yeah, clearly, and I think that's where he's comfortable. And until somebody forces him to change his style, I would say continue to fight the way you've been fighting.
Sure, but he does create angles, and that's unusual for a guy.
They're subtle.
Yeah, to create punching angles that flat-footed.
Yeah, I think it's very clear. We're watching these two guys match wits early on. You know, they're both performing physically, but they're performing mentally at the same time, trying to figure out what is the science of this, what is the way to get at the other guy in a productive way.
And I'm pleased with the reflexes of Ioka. I'm pleased with the timing of Ioka, the type of punches that he's landing, and even the punches that he's getting away from. Again, coming off of a retirement that lasted 17 months. Not an easy thing to do.
In the first round, Arroyo seemed to be good and giving just about as well as he was getting, particularly that one uppercut counter shot that momentarily blunted Ioka's body attack. But in the second round, Ioka has been more active and more effective up close.
And Ioka, to me, right now, looks like the stronger, sturdier fighter.
All right, stop. No punch.
Just his build, just his stance, and the way he's absorbing punches and the way he's delivering punches.
Left hook upstairs for Arroyo.
This is one of the things Arroyo's had to face, and he did it against Chocolatito, too. It's not that he's doing things wrong. He's fighting a good fight, but he's in with a very talented fighter. And even when you do everything right, or most things right, it doesn't mean it goes your way necessarily when the other guy is supremely talented.
Listen for that bell, gentlemen.
There's never a free lunch for Arroyo.
Time.
And as that round concludes, there is a shot of Kazumori Ioka. Regardless of any controversy or difference of opinion between them, he's clearly here to cheer for his son and applauding the effort in round number 2.
Left is great. You understand? Left jab to the head. Left hook. A lot of lefts. You understand? And guard yourself. Block. Side to side. You're doing great. You're going to be a champion. Do you understand? A lot of change-ups. You're doing really good. Okay.
That's an all-star corner right there. Trainer Ismael Salas worked with the Cuban national team for years, was the lead trainer for Felice Savon at the moment when Savon was the #1 amateur heavyweight in the world. Jacob Stitch Duran, one of the veteran cutmen of the sport, worked for many years with Vladimir Klitschko. That's a star corner working with Kazuto Ioka.
Yeah, Jacob Duran worked with me for basically the duration of my career, cuts and hand wraps. The best in the business.
Stitch.
Work
With
out,
left
guys.
hook inside for Arroyo.
Let him go.
Fascinating that Salas, whose original language is Spanish and also functions well in English, can speak Japanese well enough to deal with Ioka.
So this is interesting to me that Ioka is flat-footed, as I mentioned, and Arroyo is able to box or come forward, and he's choosing to come forward and drive Ioka back instead of kind of being up on his toes and taking advantage of the flat-footedness.
Yeah, I think that's, if there's a knock on Arroyo, is that he doesn't really know what style he wants to fight at a certain particular time. Sometimes he fights when he should box, and sometimes he boxes when he should fight.
But he is having some success driving him back.
I think this is an even fight at the moment. It's not wrong, but he probably would have more success if he would do what you just mentioned.
Minute and a half to go in round number 3. It's been a great start to this outstanding matchup in the 115-pound weight class.
Well, he's been having success with that uppercut. You just saw 3 or 4 in a flurry from McWilliams Arroyo.
And his jab is landing in this round as well. He has definitely stepped up the tempo here in round number 3. It's as if Arroyo said to himself, all right, I probably lost the second round. I need to come back and make a statement in round 3.
He's made one.
And it benefits Arroyo to have this fast pace that they're fighting at in hopes that the 17-month layoff will start to wear on Ioka around the 5th or 6th round.
How much do the layoffs, and you would know, Andre, how much do the layoffs affect the timing and everything?
I think it depends on what type of person you are outside the ring. When you have layoffs, your lifestyle comes into play. If you're not drinking and partying and doing all of those things and you're staying in the gym somewhat 2 or 3 days a week, you'll see less of it. If you are doing those things I just mentioned, you're going to see more of it.
Arroyo's had a layoff too because he lost a fight to Hurricane Maria and then spent a good deal of time after the hurricane in the streets along with his brother working to help his countrymen in Puerto Rico make it through the absolutely unspeakable crisis that took place in the wake of that hurricane. And there's a knockdown on a right hand for Ioka. After a brilliant round for Arroyo had brought him back in the fight. Ioka finds an opening in the closing seconds of round number 3 and puts Arroyo's glove down.
It was getting closer and closer with those home run power shots toward the end of that round and finally landed one.
Water. Listen, you're good? You're good, right? You're here. All right, come on, let's do it. You know what you need to do is walk with your guards up. Don't come in straight forward. Come on, 30, 45 seconds. Come on, strong. Are you good? Let's go, damn it. Let's go, nothing happened.
Tight fight up until this point. Here we see Ioka blind Arroyo with the jab and land a beautiful, sneaky but powerful right hand right on the chin of Arroyo. Here we see another angle. The jab blinds Arroyo, the right hand right on the chin. Down goes Arroyo.
What a beautiful right hand that was. The leverage, the way he got the torque on the end of that shot, and of course you can't see it coming. It's straight down the pike.
That was more quick than fast. It got to the target
Sudden.
Extremely quick.
We talk so much about how craft is king, and you saw it right there. Perfect technical execution on the delivery of the right hand by Kazuto Ioka. And quickly, let's go to Harold Letterman and see how he has it scored now after 3 rounds. Our unofficial ringside scorer, Harold, how do you have it so far?
Okay, Jim, I got it 3-0, 30-26 in favor of Kazuto Ioka. I thought he won the first 2 rounds 10-9, relatively close rounds. But in the 3rd round, he scored a knockdown, and he gets an extra point for the knockdown. So 30-26, Ioka.
I just have to ask you this, Harold. Were you on the way to giving the 3rd round to Ioka as well, or was Arroyo the winner of that round up until the moment of the knockdown?
No, I thought that Arroyo would have won the round without the knockdown.
That's what I thought you might tell us. Thanks very much. And now we go to round number 4.
Ioka's a heavier-handed guy, a better puncher.
Stop, no punch.
But he also has a different kind of self-image. McWilliams Arroyo is boxing as a profession, and he wants to win, and he gives a great effort, and he's not afraid to lose. But his motivation is to pay off his house. Ioka wants to be great. He sees himself as special. He's already a 3-division belt holder. And he wants to be special and is trying to achieve it. It's sort of different ambitions and different self-images. And you wonder how that plays out in a close, tough fight like this.
Yeah, wanting to pay off your house is an honorable thing, you know, but that speaks to the mentality and the style, really, of Arroyo is very, very blue-collar.
Workmanlike.
Yeah, you see Ioka, he came out of retirement because of Superfly 2. He wanted to be great. He wants to capture a 4th title in a 4th division. So, yes, the motivations are different, and I think we're seeing that on display right now.
And I wonder how much of Ioka's motivation to come back and to try to win a title in a 4th weight class and to be great, as Max says, comes from the amount of publicity that now goes to Naoya Inoue, the fighter called a monster, functioning in a nearby weight class in Japan. Already a bigger media star than Ioka. I wonder if that isn't part of what spurs him toward the kind of performance you're seeing tonight as he builds the tempo now in round number 4 and makes it even tougher for McWilliams Arroyo.
Ioka does not look like he's been off for 17 months. And like you mentioned, Max, the motivation is different. For Arroyo, whether he wins or loses, he still gets his paycheck. That was the ultimate objective. For Ioka, he doesn't reach his objective if he doesn't win. The greatness part cannot continue if he doesn't get a win here tonight.
And it's not that Arroyo doesn't try to win, and he puts forth a great effort every time.
Let him go.
And is just such an excellent contender, as I've mentioned, a great example of this kind of contender which exists in every era, just about as good as any of the champions. But it's a job for him, and Ioka, it's something more than a job, it feels like.
Listen for the bell. Box, time.
The level of intensity that Kazuto Ioka brings to every round is amazing to behold. Next Saturday night, talk about intensity. Finally, the rematch we've all been waiting for. Canelo Alvarez versus Gennady Golovkin, Triple G. Their first meeting ended in a highly disputed draw. This time, both men say they won't leave it up to the judges. That'll be September 15, only on HBO pay-per-view.
Your right hand has to be up. Remember, all he's trying to do is get the right over the top, all right? You jab me, you bring your guard back up, all right? And now let's turn him. Water now.
Okay. Okay, Kazu.
Okay,
Gambare, eh?
go get him.
Gambare, Kazu.
Go get him, Kazu.
Stay right here. Mouthpiece. 5th. Number 5. Let's go.
Max, it's really fascinating to see all the things that Ioka can do well. And when you consider, as I mentioned, all the publicity that goes to Inoue, and Inoue is longer, taller, he has a nearly incomparable jab and great body punching, but Ioka is so skilled and brings such intensity to everything that he does.
Potential. You know, we're all enamored with potential in sports. And oh, good rally by McWilliams Arroyo, and then Ioka kind of takes the starch out with the hook to the body.
Vicious body shot.
And Inoue is, you know, reminds some people of Costa the way he's this really impressive physical specimen, and even though he's raw, as Zoo was early on, go ahead, good luck trying to stop him. But sometimes we become more enamored with that than the guy who's actually getting it done and has been getting it done on a very high level for a long time. I think you're right about maybe that being part of the motivation, because Ioka's obviously, he's got a lot of pride.
Body shot by Ioka with a straight right hand. Body shot again. Talked about early there's another uppercut landing for McWilliams Arroyo.
Why is he so open for the uppercut, Andre? Ioka, Arroyo keeps hitting him with it.
He's leaning over his feet a little bit. Again, he's sacrificing his chin to get to the body, and Arroyo's doing a good job of timing. But sometimes you got to walk through that fire to get what you want, and I think Ioka has no problem eating the uppercut to get the 2 body shots that are ultimately going to pay bigger dividends down the stretch. Apparently, Ioka's not worried about the power of Arroyo.
Also, Ioka tucks his chin well. So sometimes he's getting his head flown, but those shots are landing on the forehead, on the cheek. The chin is tucked.
Another hard right hand upstairs by Ioka. And he focuses so much on the body that sometimes I think he shocks Arroyo when he comes back up for a combination upstairs. Often just a solid 1-2, but he lands it and it's effective.
It's a lot to deal with when you got a guy who has an educated arsenal where he's hitting you up and down. You're trying to block to the head, and then you're getting hit with a right hand to the body, and then a left uppercut. It's a lot to deal with, emotionally, mentally, as well as physically.
Pull the arm out. Come on, guys, work on it.
That was desperation from Arroyo right there. You could hear it in the grunting as he threw those punches. Gave up a lot of energy to miss those 4 punches he just.
And if he keeps extending his arms like that, he can affect to get countered underneath on his rib cage by the body shots that Ioka continues.
Oh, big right hand.
Good right hand to finish the round by McWilliams Arroyo. And there's a look at Donnie Nietes, 36 years old, and fighting against a much larger, longer opponent tonight. But lest you worry about his capabilities, consider that this is one of the great technicians in boxing, has been for a long time, has an exceptionally calm demeanor, enormous self-confidence. And here's the guy against whom he'll be fighting, Aston Palicte, who is 6 or 7 inches taller than Donnie Nietes and has long arms to go with it. Promoted, by the way, by Roy Jones Jr. Has a lot of interest in the possibility of Palicte scoring the upset against Nietes tonight.
By the way, you and your boys love watching real good boxers. Call them, tell them to turn them to HBO right now, because Nietes.
Right at the end of the round, we may have missed this. I may have missed this, but it was a nice exchange from both fighters. But Arroyo finished it with a beautiful overhand right that we know got Ioka's attention because he kind of stumbled back to his corner.
That's the best moment for Arroyo in a few rounds. And of course, he's trying to make up for a knockdown at the end of round number 4. Now here we go to round 6.
Anyway, Nietes is so fun to watch. If you like real boxing, that guy is a boxing fool.
I can't belabor the layoff point enough. I've had several of them in my career. You look for a fighter's reflexes. You want to see how their offense is coming off, and that's a great offensive assault from Ioka right there. But you also want to see how they take punches. When I'm out of the gym or when I was out of the gym for 6 to 8 months, or whatever the time frame was, and you just get to spar, and this is with the headgear, the punches feel a lot harder. And you tell yourself and you ask yourself, wow, was it always this tough? So I know right now that even though Ioka's had a long camp, he hasn't been in a situation like this for coming up on 2 years. So it's interesting when he gets hit with the big shot to see what his reaction is.
But Ioka's style is predicated on having to take a lot of big shots, and yours was not. That shot, I imagine when he's watching Superfly 2 thinking, I can beat these guys, he's coming back with something to prove. And a style where he knows he's going to be taking some shots.
But if you look at Ioka, he's not getting hit with a lot of clean shots. The shot that we just saw Arroyo land at the end of the last round, that was a clean shot. So there's a difference there.
And it's interesting, I believe, if I'm not incorrect, Andre, that one of your comeback from a long layoff type fights was against Sullivan Barrera. And Sullivan Barrera was, to me, a lot like McWilliams Arroyo is for Ioka, in the sense that he's good enough and physical enough that you have to worry about him. You have to put in an honest effort and be certain that you're going to be at your best to beat him. But on the other hand, he's somebody you're supposed to beat, and there's a certain pressure in that when you're coming back.
That's a tough equation. You got a guy that you're supposed to beat, but if you're not right, he's going to show you in front of the whole world that you're not right. So you're absolutely right, John. And when you sign to fight a guy like Arroyo, good 1-2, a good right hand left hook from Arroyo. When you fight a guy like Barrera, you better bring your lunch pail.
Honest fighters who are going to come in and give you a real effort and who know what they're doing in there as professionals. Round 6 of the scheduled 12. Ioka has been in command much of the way. Arroyo has continued to test him from round to round, like the big right hand that finished the last round. Now we come down the stretch of this one.
Listen for the bell, gentlemen.
And just that little touch from referee Tom Taylor. Listen for the bell, gentlemen. I like that. Helps both fighters to be aware of where they are on their feet at that moment.
Small thing, but goes a long way.
Are you okay, Kazu? A lot of feints. Right now, you're
Kazuto,
lots of side to side, left, right. You understand? In and out. Are you okay?
Water, water. Hold the swell.
If you scan the CompuBox numbers that we showed you on the graphic a moment ago, you saw the consistency. You saw that Ioka has landed more punches in every single round against Arroyo. That's the intensity, the constant focus, and the consistency of Kazuto Ioka. In no round was Arroyo so badly outlanded that it was embarrassing, but in no round did he land more punches than Ioka does. And Harold, how do you have it through 6?
Okay, Jim, I got it 5 rounds to 1. 59-54, Kazuto Ioka. I think that Ioka's winning most of the rounds. I gave round 6 to Arroyo. I thought that he pulled that out. Very, very close round. And certainly an extra point in round 3. So, 5 rounds to 1, Ioka.
See the exchange they just had, guys?
Tremendous.
That's a knockout exchange. Because they're both throwing shots that could stop the other guy, and they're high percentage chance of landing shots because they're in close quarters and not holding.
Camera, we got a flash.
And in that situation, I like Ioka. His shots are generally a little bit shorter in those instances and thrown with a little more power.
But given that he's winning the fight, or seems to be winning the fight, is it an unwarranted gamble, Andre, for him to trade that way with McWilliams Arroyo in the middle of the ring?
Ioka has to be Ioka. He has to do what he feels he needs to do. He can't overthink it. He can't give Arroyo too much respect because then we may be having a different conversation. He's got to be himself, win, lose, or draw.
That's the kind of exchange where all of a sudden, and one guy drops.
Exactly. And Ioka, just like he landed the short right hand in the previous round, he is trying to land another sneaky right hand where he takes his head to the left. He takes it off center, and he's trying to throw a sneaky overhand right hand to the chin of Arroyo, just like that. And he's been landing it, but that's a knockout blow. He's trying to end the fight with that shot.
This has been a brilliant round for Kazuto Ioka.
And then I could see a left hook from Ioka ending the fight if Arroyo wants to throw that uppercut in those exchanges on the inside, even from a little too far away. The way Ioka's throwing these power shots, he can catch him with a hook counter.
And I wonder if Arroyo is seeing what we're seeing, if he's seeing the setup or if he's just in the moment going tit for tat.
Brilliant left hook from McWilliams Arroyo.
Sure was.
Caught Ioka right on the jaw. And Ioka comes back with volume. Another hard punch from McWilliams Arroyo.
Real good one, too. See, when Arroyo gets loose like that, gets on his toes, he should be bouncing around Ioka.
And that graphic is quite telling you that Ioka has landed 68 body shots to only 8 for Arroyo. If it's even close to accurate, it's a formula for losing the fight for Arroyo.
Listen for that bell.
You don't want to give up the body confrontation. They're starting to dislike each other. Immediately after boxing tonight, it's the premiere of Canelo Triple G2, the Fight Game Preview. Join me, along with special guests Daniel Jacobs and Freddie Roach, as we analyze in detail next week's highly anticipated rematch between Canelo Alvarez and Gennady Golovkin immediately following our show. Stay tuned for a replay of 24/7 after that. And by the way, I'll give you just a little preview of the Canelo Triple G2 Fight Game Preview. Daniel Jacobs and Freddie Roach both faced with a simple question as to who wins the rematch. They disagree.
All right?
And there's Ioka's father, Kazumori Ioka, who flew in tonight to watch his son fighting without him in the corner for the first time in his professional career.
I like what I saw from Arroyo a lot at the end of the last round. He started to feel himself, so he was bouncing and getting loose, but he was doing it from long range, out of punching range. He'd land a 1-2, and then he'd slip away, bounce away. The only issue is sometimes he's doing that back and forth in a straight line, kind of waiting for Ioka to come to him, where he should be fighting him in circles, making him turn.
Then he set up a kind of a stare down with Ioka as if to say, hey, dude, I'm still in the fight, and you haven't won it yet, and I'm just as interested as I ever was in beating you. So there was a little bit of a psychological showdown between the two of them that followed the conclusion of the round.
Yeah, Arroyo changed the momentum of the fight by starting to feel himself a little bit. Gave him some juice.
As they stand and face each other, it's clear that Arroyo is the taller of the guys. For what that's worth.
Now Ioka is going backward.
Stop. Hang on.
And recall, when he threw that right hand, he was coming forward behind that right hand.
No cut. Watch the heads, guys.
He generates a lot of power when he's coming forward.
Left hook by Ioka. And another uppercut for McWilliams Arroyo, landing that counter uppercut inside as he's done several times in the fight. Ioka goes to the body.
Now, I don't know if Ioka's going backwards because he's a bit winded, or if he's trying to run Arroyo into that right hand and change strategies. I would probably lean toward the latter over the former.
Well, he just did run him into the right hand, as a matter of fact.
And it's imperative for Arroyo to not fall asleep and lazily walk to Ioka with his left hand down.
Then he'll fall asleep for real.
Arroyo spending a lot of time now with his left hand below his waist. Ioka just looking for an opportunity.
All right, stop. No punch.
A bit of a rabbit punch from Ioka, but Arroyo turned his back.
Yep.
Can't do that.
Right, if the guy's going to turn at that angle, you're throwing your punch, that's his problem.
Fortunately for both, it wasn't the heaviest possible impact on the rabbit punch. So referee Tom Taylor was able to let it go.
Yeah, I think that's a good no call from him.
Arroyo's just a good fighter. And as I said, don't get it twisted. It's not that, Arroyo sees it as a job, therefore he's not trying to win. There's no give in Arroyo. He's still in there, winning a lot of exchanges and rounds.
Some of the toughest fights you'll have is with the blue-collar fight.
Gentlemen. Right there, no punch.
Another feisty round between Ioka and Arroyo. And there is 154-pound rising star Jaime Munguia in the dressing room with his countryman Juan Francisco Estrada. Trading photographs and giving Estrada some encouragement as Estrada warms up for his main event assignment later tonight against Felipe Urucuta, who is also from Mexico, who also had a good amateur record in Mexico, who's one of those lanky body puncher types. Sometimes they come up with big upsets, and it would be a big upset if he could beat Juan Francisco Estrada, but it's not unheard of under circumstances like this. And we are at the Fabulous Forum. Back in the 80s, it was the home of Magic Johnson, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, James Worthy, Byron Scott, Michael Cooper, etc., etc. The Laker teams that three-peated and won championships 3 straight years in the NBA played in this building. And some of the greatest fights in Los Angeles history have taken place here, and we've been privileged to be here half dozen times or more in the last few years, Max, for outstanding boxing cards with lively crowds, as is the case once again tonight. Round 9 of a scheduled 12, Ioka against Arroyo.
StubHub Center nowadays gets a lot of the press for housing these great fights, but boy, the Forum is right there.
Nice phone booth type action from both guys in the opening minute of this round.
Ioka seeming to want to reestablish order with his jab. Nice uppercut with the left hand by Ioka.
Sneaky left upper. Ioka has a great jab. He's got a power-driving power jab that comes straight from the hips, and I haven't seen his jab as often as we typically do in his previous fights, and I don't know if that's layoff related or if it's just the style of Arroyo that's throwing him off a little bit.
If there's been a significant edge in the fight, I think it's been Ioka to the body. He's landed far more body shots and more effectively than has McWilliams Arroyo, and of course that helped lead to the one knockdown of the fight, which was Ioka flooring Arroyo at the end of round number 3.
Boy, Arroyo's really landing some shots with mustard now, especially the right hand.
Arroyo has gotten most of his good work done upstairs, a lot of it on counter punching. There was a series of counter uppercuts early in the fight. Lately they've been both left hooks and right hands. And he's been in the fight all the way.
Now Arroyo's starting to look off some of these shots from Ioka and counter them with good, clean shots of his own. Using his legs defensively well now, Arroyo, he's gotten better and better as the fight's worn on.
More body shots for Ioka, though. And a big left hook for Ioka.
And that's
that hook you were talking about, man. That was the left hook right there.
Momentarily stunned Arroyo, and Arroyo goes into a defensive posture. Ioka hunting, looking to land another big shot. Arroyo still trying to regather himself, keeping himself behind a high guard.
And there again, Arroyo tries with the right uppercut. And that's a dangerous shot to throw against the guy with the left hook who's coming forward looking to land it upstairs.
Kind of surprised Ioka didn't take advantage of the high guard to go to one more rally to the body, Andre.
Yeah, he set that hook up with body shots, and he tried to go down there, but Arroyo had a good defense.
Time.
That's great, Kazu. Look, Kazu. This here.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
That's the pressure. Kazu. A lot of side-to-side pressure.
Order. Let's go, Willie. Gotta do it. In this round, I need it. I need this round. You understand? This is my round.
The two body shots right before this hook is what set this feint low from Ioka, and the left hook to the top up right on the chin of Arroyo. The two previous body shots allowed him to look low and get Arroyo to react in order to land the clean upper right to the head.
Ioka landed a fight-high 32 punches by CompuBox count in that 9th round. That's the highest number of punches he's landed in any frame in the fight. With 9 rounds in the books and 3 to go, let's go to our unofficial ringside scorer, Harold Letterman, to see how he has it so far. Harold?
Okay, Jim, I've got it 8 rounds to 1, 89-81 for Kazuto Ioka. I think that Ioka's winning most of these rounds. Some of them have been very, very close. He certainly gets an extra point in round 3 for the knockdown. So, anyway, 89-81 Ioka.
You know, I think, guys, Ioka was really bothered by something, because first he started moving back, then he held for the first time, and then he threw about 6 or 7 straight body punches as though to dissuade Arroyo from doing something. Like he may have been hurt by something sneaky.
It's possible. Fighters get hurt often by short shots that don't seem like much, and I think that was the right response, is to fight your way out of that moment.
See, he's obviously tired, but that's the second time now in this round he's held. Reached for Arroyo and held.
Punches up. Get him up, guys.
Over the next 3 rounds is what we call the championship rounds. How much will the body shots that Ioka has landed over the course of this fight show up, and how much on Arroyo, and how much of the layoff that Ioka's had show up on him?
Now Arroyo holding, they got to be exhausted. This has been a tough pace.
So here's something that may figure into part of what we've been seeing here. I covered Thomas Taylor with glory at the beginning of the fight, talking about what a rising young referee he is. but he told both fighters that this was the last round coming up. And of course, that's incorrect. Everybody here knows, and the California State Commission has made clear, and now we're being told it is in fact a 10-round fight. So Taylor was correct. And despite the fact that all week long we've been working with previous information suggesting to us this was going to be a 12-round fight, the California State Athletic Commission is now saying, no, this is a 10-round fight. So therefore, Taylor was correct in saying to them that this was the last round. And that, I think, is unfortunate for McWilliams Arroyo, because a 10-round fight means there's much less chance that Arroyo can turn things around and win.
I know a 12-round fight when I see one, and this one should go 12.
Yeah, I'm disappointed we don't get the next 2 rounds.
Yes, sir.
That's a real letdown, and it's everything we've seen all week long in publicity, in official documents, et cetera, et cetera. Never has there been any contemplation of a 10-round fight.
Got a cut from a punch.
So this is a shock to us.
Time!
And look at that, a cut from a punch right at the end of the 10th round. How would those championship rounds have
2 more
played out?
rounds would have been very interesting.
With blood streaming down Arroyo's face.
Guys,
So now, in effect, we're going to get a decision on the basis of what we've seen so far. And I'll once again go back to, if there was a big difference between the 2 fighters throughout the fight, it was the consistency with which Kazuto Ioka kept firing to the body and making Arroyo deal with him downstairs.
And if there is a difference on the scorecards, it could come down to that straight right hand that produced a knockdown for Ioka. Because McWilliams Arroyo won some of those rounds by rallying when it looked like the momentum was going against him, by not taking no for an answer, by starting to get into a rhythm and get himself psyched up, and really did a tremendous job of not letting himself get steamrolled by a 3-division champion.
Harold Letterman has it 9 rounds to 1. And I'm not shocked by that scorecard, but I wonder which California judges would be brave enough to go 9 rounds to 1 in what looked like perhaps a closer fight than that.
Look, I understand if a lot of rounds are competitive, but one guy consistently wins them, you score for that guy. You don't give any guy any sympathy rounds. But I saw some rounds in there that I thought Arroyo won fair and square. More than one.
Let's take a look at the moment that we've mentioned right at the end of round 3. Straight right hand, Andre Ward.
Beautiful shot, and as we just mentioned, that could be the difference on the scorecards. Tight fight.
Yep. Of course, Harold Letterman is sitting here scoring the fight. We're calling the fight, so I generally defer to Harold's excellent judgment.
And the 3 judges who are scoring are Carla Caiz, Esther Lopez, and Pat Russell. Russell had a long and illustrious career here as a referee, brought it to an end a few years ago and has been judging since then. Carla Caiz is part of the Caiz family. There are judges and referees in that family. Esther Lopez only 1 previous title fight. And now let's go to ring announcer Joe Martinez for an official decision.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, after 10 rounds of boxing, we go to the judges' scorecards. Here are the totals. Carla Caiz has it 99-90. Esther Lopez and Pat Russell both have it 97-92. All for your winner by unanimous decision. He is the new WBC Silver Super Flyweight Champion, the Samurai, Kazuto Ioka.
7 rounds to 3, 97-92 with the extra point for the knockdown. Okay, I can go with that. I can go 7-3, 6-4, 7-3, maybe 8-2. Those are the range of scores it felt like.
I thought it was a bit closer, but I can live with that.
Well, just 6-4. It can't be much closer than 6-4.
But it's the knockout, though. I mean, the knockdown,
right.
excuse me.
I don't score fights. I thought Ioka was clearly the winner.
Right.
At the end of the day, Ioka lands 95 more punches and throws 82 more and lands at a 10% higher overall connect percentage. That squares with what I think I saw in the fight. Power shots, Ioka lands 51 more, throws 108 more, and lands at a 5% higher percentage. He's just so consistent throughout the course of the fight. and Punch Zone makes you aware. Landed on Arroyo, landed on Ioka. Actually, we've got this. I think we've got it backward because it was Ioka who landed 101 body shots on Arroyo, and it was Arroyo who only landed 19 body shots on Ioka. So trade those numbers back and forth from side to side. This graphic is misleading, but the point is still made.
You know,
Ioka was the one who landed body shots throughout the fight.
And you know, when you land a body shot, generally there's not a little tap to the body. Generally, body shots are power punches dug. So 101 in 10 rounds, that's 10 big shots downstairs every round, to your point about his consistency, Jim.